I've been working in women's health for over 30 years, probably closer to 40 years, and I've seen great changes in the emphasis on women's health, particularly in the beliefs about menopause and managing menopausal symptoms. Look, it's hard for me to put a date to it, but I would think in the 1980s was when menopause treatment in Australia took off. And it was not just for menopausal symptoms, but there was a lot of belief that using hormone replacement therapy would improve your heart, prevent heart attacks, improve your skin, generally make you look younger. So it was a youth drug as well as anything else. Well, menopause just means the last menstrual period, but symptoms can occur quite a long time before that, such as erratic periods, for instance, increasing length between periods, sometimes heavier periods, and hot flushes can start before the last period or sometime after the last period. About 10% of women have no symptoms at all with menopause. 10% to 20% have very troublesome symptoms, and the rest are somewhere in between. The most troublesome are hot flushes, and they're the only ones that have really been assigned to estrogen to the end of menstruation. Hot flushes, feeling things crawling over your skin, like there are insects crawling over your skin, being unable to sleep because you're woken up by hot flushes, drenched in perspiration. Women often have to change their night clothes because they get drenched. And that's the main symptom. The disturbance of sleep and depression and symptoms like that are probably related to the hot flushes and also to difficulties with coping with getting older in a youth-orientated society. Well, the drop of estrogen resets the body thermostat, the internal thermostat, and that's probably what is involved in having a hot flush and you know, sweating and so on. But it also has other effects, such as causing thinning of the lining of the vagina, a dry vagina, problems with sex because lubrication takes longer or may not be as effective. So those are the main symptoms. Well, certainly estrogen is important for maintaining bone health. There's no evidence to say that estrogens will actually protect your heart from heart attack and so on. A lot of the early studies were observational studies, and they were usually the women who used HRT were more affluent women who were more concerned about leading a healthy life. So you had the healthy user effect. When they did trials later on, they found that it did not, in fact, reduce your risk of getting heart attacks. There is some suggestion now that maybe if you start estrogens early enough, that it may have some effect, but it's still not clear. Well, the best way of controlling hot flushes is hormone replacement therapy, that is estrogen. And women who have no womb, who've had a hysterectomy, can use estrogen on its own. But women who have a womb need to use progestogen as well, because using estrogen by itself can increase the risk of getting a cancer of the womb. Oh, well, I think it impacts in various ways. I mean, if she's getting very embarrassing hot flushes, it affects her confidence and her ability, for instance, if she's working, to carry out her work. Most women will cope with their hot flushes reasonably well, but those who have very frequent, severe hot flushes really find it very disturbing for their lives. Well, the major problem is the duration of use. If you use it just to control hot flushes, and that's what is recommended at the moment for control of symptoms, then you can use it safely up to about 4 years. After about 4 years, the risk of breast cancer increases. It's not a huge increase, but it does increase. So it's suggested that women don't use hormone replacement therapy for longer than 4 or 5 years. Well, the average age of menopause in Australia is about 51. Basically, they shouldn't be doing anything until they get symptoms, and then they need to go to their GP and talk about the options for treatment if the symptoms are bothering them. But apart from that, what they need to do is have a healthy diet, exercise, maintain their bones, make sure they've got sufficient vitamin D to maintain their bones, and sufficient calcium intake.